Does Monday at the office feel like a storm? Not with Microsoft Copilot. That feeling when Copilot gets everyone up to speed instantly? It's sunny again. When Copilot simplifies complex data so your teams can act, that sun's shining on a beach. And when Copilot uncovers hidden insights, you're on that beach with your people, and you find buried treasure. That's Microsoft Copilot. Learn more at Microsoft.com/AI for all.
Today on CityCast Madison. Do you remember that famous line from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood?
What do you do with the mad that you feel when you feel so mad you could bite?
Well, Amanda Chestnut dreamt of creating a safe space for folks to release and process that pent-up anger. So she made it her business and built the Disorderly Conduct Rage Room in Sauk City. There you can smash stuff and splatter paint with abandon. We sat down with Amanda to hear all about it. It's Tuesday, March 12th. I'm Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about. Amanda, hello.
Hello.
So, right off the bat, what is a rage room exactly?
So a rage room is just like a safe and controlled environment where people can come in and break stuff. Just help process your anger, your whatever negative emotions you're going through. And then if breaking stuff is really not your forte, we also do have a paint splatter room. So then you're kind of creating something beautiful out of your pain.
And so you're in Sauk City. Do you get folks from Madison coming through?
Yes. So I was kind of hesitant of starting in Sauk, but then kind of looking at location wise where I was like, I can either go to Madison or I can go to the Dells or I can stay at home, and I'm right in the middle of both. So I get people from all kind of the surrounding areas of Madison. I get people up from the Dells who are on vacation. So it's kind of overall been just a perfect location, I feel like.
I love that. So what kinds of things can people smash?
Oh, goodness. Pretty much like I would say your basic stuff that we're getting, each person gets with their session: plates, dishes, cups, glasses, bakeware. People love smashing liquor bottles. So actually I work with a few local bars around the area. They save their bottles for me. So I wash those. They go into the baskets. People love to smash them because they don't always smash, so it makes them more mad. And
So is that like the most popular thing to smash?
Well, it really depends. Some people really like the glass items, and then some people really like the ceramics, like the plates and things like that. So I feel like it's more of a personal preference of whatever
suits your fancy. So I understand there's a weapon wall.
Yes, we have a weapon wall
of items that people can use.
My weapon wall is probably, everybody loves the weapon wall. So each room has a sledgehammer in it, which you would expect it to, but not everybody can lift a sledgehammer. I think they're like 15-pound sledgehammers, so they're really heavy. So we have baseball bats, we've got copper pipe, we have golf clubs, hammers, croquet mallets while they last.
Very Wisconsin appropriate.
Yes,
the croquet mallet.
Frying pans, I think, are probably my top favorite item.
Oh my goodness.
Pull out the Disney Tangled session and your inner Rapunzel. So.
Yes. There's a movie I watched a million years ago, and it had a woman who like broke glass and then made it into a mosaic. And I remember being like, one day. And now I'm like learning about your rage room and breaking glass and some of those vibes. So we've heard some of the things that people like to smash. How does it work? Can you walk us through what a trip to the rage room is like? You got to make an appointment, and then what happens?
Yes, absolutely. So you'd book your appointment online. We're only open by appointment. I work full time, so I'm tired. But you'd make your appointment. Once you come into the rage room, then you just check in. I'm going to ask you a few questions. So is everybody wearing closed-toed shoes? That's a requirement. Do you have a playlist that you want to listen to in the rage room? I do have a 19-hour playlist of rage music, but if people want to connect their own music, they're more than welcome to. We've got Bluetooth speakers in the room to connect to. I'm going to double check that their waivers are all signed. So you do have to sign a waiver to participate. And then each person with your appointment booking, you get a basket of items to break. So each basket has 10 to 15 items of smashable stuff in there. And then you can always do add-ons. So if you want to do like bigger items, so TVs, monitors, printers, computer towers, glass, like I have bigger glass objects that I kind of do as like a cheap little add-on. I do video recordings of your session. So you can get a video copy of your session in the rage room.
Why make a recording for folks?
Yeah. So some people just kind of like to like see their session, some if they're in there for a celebration or, I mean, if you're really mad and you're processing a breakup, you don't maybe necessarily want to, unless you want to be like, hey, check out what I did to your dishes. I might have done that to an ex. It's fine. But no, like some people like to do that. I've had a few people who will take their video recording and then they make like TikTok videos and tag us in it. So I love seeing that. So I love seeing kind of the creativity that people will create out of it. And it's just kind of a fun keepsake, I guess. Like,
yeah,
if you're having a good time.
Well, I'm getting excited because you said that about the playlist, and I'm part of a group called the Iron Maidens. We lift weights together.
Nice.
And they're like, what's your like lifting song? Like it's kind of like angry music. And I was like, we got some NWA, Little Mama Said Knock You Out by LL Cool J. So
yes.
I want to know, like, what's your rage music?
Oh my goodness. So I call it my multiple personality playlist.
Love it.
We've got everything. So Limp Bizkit break stuff obviously would be like the number one. I think my other top requested song is Damn It Feels Good to Be a Gangster from Office Space when they're smashing the printer. So that's a big one. But honestly, like my playlist has everything from like Ludacris, Ja Rule, NWA, Def Leppard, Britney Spears, Taylor Swift, and like it goes, I've got Ozzy Osbourne on there. I have so much music on this playlist that I just kind of hit shuffle on it and let it go and do its thing. And you might get In Sync followed by Crazy Train. Like you have no idea.
That's awesome. I really want to know, how did you come up with this idea?
I had the idea like several years ago. Like the seed was planted. I didn't know how I was going to like put it into play or whatever, but I was just like, it would be a really cool thing to have a place where you could just go and break stuff. I don't know about you. I've worked desk jobs forever. And I just always have this image in my mind, like I'm one bad day away from just taking everything on my desk and just like knocking it onto the floor. And I was just like, I didn't really have a supportive relationship at that time. But they're like, well, I don't know how you would ever do that. And then I went and I ended up working in the jail for 2.5 years. So I was a deputy sheriff in the jail up here at Sauk County. And I saw a lot of people get arrested for disorderly conduct. And essentially, it's just you are angry in public. They would sit and they would share their story with me. And I'm like, you have every single right to be angry. I'm like, there's really no reason that you had to be brought to jail. Like you could have just been sent home.
Right.
I understand there are some issues where like they're not just going to go home or it's not safe. But like if it's a domestic call, like if somebody gets into a fight, because it's domestic, somebody has to be taken to jail.
Right.
Like that's just policy. And it just did not sit well with me. It's like you could have gone to your parents' house. You could have gone to a friend's or anything just to get out of the situation. There's no reason you need to come to jail. Now you have to pay, it's $150 bond just to get out of jail. But then you also have your court fees and whatever, the judge is going to put on top of you. So I'm like, it just seemed like a waste to me. And then I left the jail over a year and a half ago. And I started working at a different company. So I'd been at my job literally maybe 3 months and my dad passed away. And, I was in the right spot at the right time. Everybody was very supportive. My coworkers had, several of them had gone through it. So they were very supportive. But in processing the grief, I don't know if you know all of the stages of grief, the 5 stages of grief, anger is very real.
Yeah.
And I've been a single mom for years, so it's just, I mean, I have my girlfriend now, she's in California, but it's still just me and my daughter at home. And, she's 16, so she kind of knows by now, but it was just me and her, and I was shut down. I was in a depression, and then I'd get really angry and mad. And I'm like, I don't want to take this out on her. I need a safe place to process this. And I knew if I needed a safe place, I think other people definitely probably need a safe place because I know other people are going through stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just talking to friends and I'm like, I think I just want to start this rage room. I had seen them kind of here and there. And I did a search of rage rooms in Wisconsin and there were like 5. And I was like, okay. So, axe throwing and that is really popular, but there wasn't like just a go and smash stuff room.
Yeah.
There were 5 in Wisconsin and, they've popped up. They actually started in Japan and made their way over. So Texas, I know, Florida, California has a bunch of them, but not many in Wisconsin. And I'm like, you know what? I think I'm just going to do it. And all my friends were like, yeah, do it. And I was just in that, like, lost my mind enough that
Don't
before
push
I knew it,
me because
yeah,
I'm close to the edge.
Yes. I had my LLC filed and then I had signed a lease and I'm like, well, shit, it's too late to back out now.
Well, I mean, it sounds incredible. And also, I just want to say, I'm sorry about the loss of your dad. That
Thank
is
you.
really rough. I lost my
Yeah.
mom last year.
Mhm.
So I definitely relate in the sense that anger is a part of grief for sure, and wanting
Yes.
things to be different and how things feel unfair. And also, you know what? Anger is just really normal everyday thing. Like,
It really
and
is.
frustration. I mean, we would not have the Packers. We would not have football. Like our society, people need a productive place to place their anger and frustration. I do feel like it gets funneled into our sports. Like people
Yes.
to the street.
Oh yeah, that's where you're allowed to do your screaming. Like you're not allowed to just walk down the street and scream, which I feel like unless you have a lot of money and can go to those football games or do all that, it's like, but football games are always a really popular night for arrests too. Like we knew in the jail, it's a full moon and a football game. It's going to be a crazy night tonight,
Shipping can make or break a sale, so optimize how you ship your orders with ShipStation. They make it easy to automate and manage orders no matter how big your business grows. And they might even be able to help reduce shipping and warehouse costs. So optimize and keep up your momentum for growth with ShipStation. Sign up for your free 60-day trial now at ShipStation.com and use the code POD. That's ShipStation.com with the code POD.
Your story is just really incredible and thoughtful. And, the name Disorderly Conduct, I looked at your logo and both the O's are handcuffs,
Yes.
and it
Yep.
seems like it's interesting. It almost feels like there's a social justice bent to this.
Yeah, a little bit, I think, because that was always the one charge when people were brought in into disorderly conduct, and I would just kind of roll my eyes at the arresting officer, like, really? Like it was just the one policy that did not sit well with me. Like, I understand when it's a safety issue, yes, completely, I can stand behind it. But if it's just, a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife that are fighting, like arguing, everybody yells. Like, yeah, I know words hurt, but if you're able to separate the parties in a more civil way than just bringing somebody to jail and now they have charges and they have, they've got a rap sheet now. And for me, it seemed like such a waste. We're all one bad day away from ending up behind those bars. Like, you don't know somebody's story just because they have this rap sheet. Like, I have many friends who have had charges pressed against them, but they're like the most stand-up people. They would give you the shirt off their back. And, just because they got caught up they were at the wrong place at the wrong time, doing the wrong thing, kind of thing of someone didn't like it and they got caught doing that. So
I am really curious. You're thinking about like the psychology behind it. I don't know. I have read somewhere about like stewing in your anger or just like releasing it. Is there any fear that you might be amplifying it or kind of like let the rage out? Like does it release or like could it hype someone up and make it stronger? Or what have you seen?
So I think you can find articles online that support both aspects of that. There are ones that are like, no, if you promote this, then you're just promoting violence. I have seen completely the opposite. So I have people that come in, they're obviously going through some stuff. They go into the rage room and 100% of the time they come out smiling.
Wow.
They are laughing. They feel better. They feel lighter. I don't think I've had one night where people have come in and been like, oh, I'm never coming back here again. Like everyone's like, I'm totally coming back here. I don't know if you're familiar with the book, The Body Keeps the Score.
Basil Vanderkolk? Why, yes,
Yes.
I am.
Yes.
Trauma head.
Exactly. Yes. My ACE score is an 8. So.
Oh, yeah. And for those who don't know, ACE is adverse childhood experiences.
Yes. So I've done a lot of research on what suppressing emotions does and how it affects, your mental health, your physical pain in your body, how holding on to those things. So it takes 90 seconds to process an emotion. If you're allowed to express your anger and just scream or hit something that is not harming somebody else for 90 seconds, you completely process that emotion and you're not carrying it in your body anymore.
Having that, being allowed to, the permission.
Yes.
And a safe space that you've created.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we give you the permission. I encourage screaming because it makes me laugh. When I hear somebody screaming in the room and I can tell like they are feeling better. And then of course I have to, added like my whole metaphysical healing in the rage room too. So like every week I go through and I sage the place. I burn,
I love you.
I burn incense in there. Like I open the doors.
My Sauk County sister.
Yeah. I am like there. I've got rocks all around my desk, like as a protection barrier for me, because I'm very much an empath and I do take on people's emotions. So we're right on the river. So I will actually go and like, if the weather's nice, I go and stand in the sand barefoot and just kind of ground down out there. When the weather's nice, I'm opening up the doors. I'm letting the air flow through. I'm always, saging and pushing out that negative energy that sticks around. And
that sounds incredible. I have officially know for sure I'm taking, when my sister gets back, next time she's here, we are going to this rage room.
Awesome.
Are there any restrictions or like who's allowed to be in the rage room or things you kind of say no-nos in there? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Smash rage rooms are 16 and up with an adult. And then I can only do one person in the room at a time. So I do have a monitor set up outside the room so you can still watch all of your friends as they go through. I have 2 rooms also. So if you want to come in and bring like a big party in, we can always do blockouts for big parties where you get both rooms so you can run 2 people at the same time.
Like you and your coworkers who don't smash your mugs because you need them for the next day, but you can go smash them. The rage room.
Yes. Absolutely. The paint splatter room is all ages, so really no restrictions down there. Closed-toed shoes obviously are required in the rage rooms. There's a lot of broken glass up there.
And no drinking, I saw.
Yeah, no drinking, no, you can't be under the influence of any alcohol or drugs. So complete sobriety in the rage room. And then, as for like items to break, so no light bulbs, no paint items, no box TVs.
So I have to admit, one of my fantasies with the paint rooms.
Okay.
It's splattering paint. And just briefly, if you could tell a little bit like what happens in there.
Sure. So down there, we've got ponchos that you can wear if you don't want to get your clothes all covered in paint. We do have it's a non-toxic washable party paint, so it does come off. And then, so you'll have your poncho and then your safety goggles. We've learned the hard way. The paint does burn if it gets into your eyes. So we've added safety goggles down there. And then your 2 rules in the paint room are no throwing paint at my cameras and no throwing paint at each other's faces. Everything else is fair game just to throw paint at. So you get the squirt bottles of paint in there. There's some squirt cannons. And then we've got like glitter and Sharpie markers. So if you want to do like an outline and then do your painting, you can do that.
That is so fun.
Each person gets an 8x10 canvas to take home with them. So we've got boxes to take home the canvas in so you're not getting paint all over your car.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So what happens to all the mess that's created afterwards?
So I recycle as much as possible. When we get TVs in there, I leave the TVs in the rooms until they are completely separated and smashed up. So all the plastic comes off of the metal frames. The metal is recycled. The plastic is recycled. Glass pieces, I am on my second batch right now of tumbling glass. So if we get some really cool, like bigger glass pieces in the rage room, I started tumbling them. So I want to start making some jewelry out of the rage glass.
I love it.
So I would love to find if there's any like glass workers who want to do, pottery or mosaics or anything with broken glass pieces. I'd love to get in touch with some of those.
That would be a dream. And honestly,
Yeah.
I'm just really touched. You mentioned at the top that this is, a second gig.
Yes.
This must be a real passion project for you to spend this time and energy for building the business.
It is. It is. I mean, I have the dream of quitting the day job, but right now it's providing my insurance and a little bit of mental security of just, I know I have the finances to support my personal life. So whatever the rage room is making right now is just kind of going back into the rage room.
Well, any last thoughts before we let you go? Anything you'd like to share about the rage room for folks who, this is the first time they're hearing about it?
Sure. We're located right on Water Street in Sauk City. So if you're coming from the Madison area, you would turn right after the Sauk City Bridge, and then we're just a block down. So we're pretty close to Highway 12. Like I said, we're open by appointment only. So make sure you book online before you come up and don't find us open. And then again, if you have any recycling items, so we're always taking recyclables. We work with some local recyclers in the area. I work with a lot of resale shops, but we are always accepting glass or dishes if you're going through a big clean out in your house and want to get rid of some recycling or dishes that you don't know what to do with and don't want to just take to Goodwill or anything like that. We definitely would take those. TVs, we are taking flat screen TVs. So if you have any TVs that don't work and don't want to pay the $40 recycling fee, we do have a $5 recycling fee.
Okay, boom.
For those. Yeah.
Well, Amanda, you are definitely doing one of the coolest things I've heard about. And it's really awesome to hear the story behind it. We really appreciate you coming on CityCast Madison and giving us the story.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
That's Amanda Chestnut, owner of the Disorderly Conduct Rage Room in Sauk City. That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm Bianca Martin. If you enjoyed the show, why not share this episode with the nicest person you know? They might need this. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city. Until then,